our new episode of India's Idea. Today, we will be talking to co-founder of KPIT Technologies, Mr. Ravi Pandit, about new initiatives at KPIT. So, Pandit sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, when we talk about KPIT nowadays, there's a lot of talk about this green bus which you have donated to Parliament.
Yeah.
It's a very unique initiative. Would like you to whether you would like to highlight on that? When was the concept conceived, and how long you are working on it, and what is the stage of development currently?
Yeah. So I must take a step back to explain where this whole thing is and why this. So we are very passionate about technologies that can make an impact. And the area in which we work are automotive and transportation and energy, because we believe that these are the two areas where the conditions are really bad. That's why they provide extraordinary opportunities for a good change, and so that's where we have been focused. So we have been focused on this area for almost like 5 years now, and we believe that if you can bring technology to the world, whereby you can have clean vehicles, safe vehicles, connected vehicles, comfortable vehicles, all of the above plus affordable, and that can make a big impact. And the world of automotive is connected to the world of energy, so that the issue is basically how can you get energy which is affordable, clean, distributed. And the distributed part is very important, because currently what happens is that there are a few countries or companies in the world who generate energy. They are the producers, everybody else is a consumer, which is not a very good thing. So our focus has been on these two areas. And the natural offshoot of that is actually how can you come out with vehicles which are clean. The first step that we took in that was that how can you come out with hybrid technology. Now see, we all drive cars. A car would typically weigh at least 800 kilos, and most of the cars would probably weigh a ton and a half or so. And the thought process was that you drive this vehicle which has so much of weight, and every time something comes in the road you brake and you lose all that energy. So the question is how do you capture that back and then reuse that energy to when the vehicle starts again. And so there have been, of course Toyota has been working in that area, but we all know that the technologies that they have not been very affordable to India. And so we started working on that 5 years ago, and we said that we have to come out with something that can be used even in the aftermarket, because as we know, at any point in time the number of vehicles on the road is far higher than the new vehicles which are brought on the road, especially in a country like India where we use a vehicle 10 to 12 years. So the number of vehicles on the road is probably at least 8 to 10 times the number of new vehicles. So the thought was that how can you make it something which can be retrofitted to existing vehicles. So how can you make it affordable? How can you make it retrofitable? And how can you do it in such a way that you take your car to a place, they keep it for one day, next day you get the car back, which is now hybrid car. And that's what's the thought, and that's how we started. And a lot of learnings are on the way. Technology is just one part of the solution. Regulation is another part. And in an industry like automotive, the regulation is even more strict. And so we actually had to go through a whole exercise where how the regulations will be developed. We had to be engaged in that because nobody had done this before.
Yeah.
So that's where we started, and the natural culmination of that has been the electric bus. So here again the problem statement is how can you come out with, and the technologies are similar, how can you come out with something which can be either in a new bus or it can be a retrofitted bus. How can you do it in such a way that it is affordable within a country like India, because if it is affordable in India, it can be affordable anywhere in the world. So how do you come out with the right battery chemistry, how do you come out with the right mechanism, are really the challenges that we have worked on. Now the bus is ready, that's why it is in the Parliament, and it's a very satisfying moment.
So when you say the bus or this entire kit is quite affordable, what are the costs you are talking about?
So we are talking about the cost. The whole thought process is that it should be 1/3 to 1/5 of what is available everywhere else. It should be something that the public transport authorities in the country would find it affordable. And the cost would of course depend on whether it is 8-9 meter bus or a 12 meter bus. The cost would depend on what is the range that you are looking at for a daily running, etc. All of that has to be so targeted that it is affordable to us. You know. So I wouldn't want to talk about a specific price because it will change from case to case. But this is a price when you go and talk to a city transport undertaking, they can't believe that this is available.
So, but if you have to talk not in terms of kit, but per kilometer or something, what could be the range?
So actually the per kilometer cost, the operating cost is much lower than the petrol or diesel bus, actually much lower. And especially in a situation, and this is what our conversation with government now is, that if these buses can be charged at night and differential pricing is available for night charge. See, because if you were to look at the Indian electricity consumption, the night consumption is much lower than the day consumption. And if that period can be used, actually it's almost like an extra revenue for the electricity boards. So it works out extremely attractive, works out very attractive.
Currently, you have one bus ready and which you have donated
there are
to
multiple
Parliament.
multiple buses running. There are electric vehicles which are running, and which is actually bought by the Ministry of Road Transport. It's not donated. It is bought by them. But apart from that, we have buses running which are hybrid buses, both plug-in and non-plug-in. So if you have to look at a non-plug-in hybrid, and there are multiple of those running across multiple cities in the country for the last almost like 8-9 months. There, in a non-plug-in bus, what you are doing is you are actually only capturing the braking journey. Whatever is the braking energy, you capture that and you reuse it. So you need relatively less batteries. You don't need a charger, nothing. And that can give at least 15-20% improvement. More than that, it can give 30-40%, 30% reduction in emissions. And when we walk in the cities in India, you know how bad it is. So there is a move towards actually doing anything that can make it cleaner. So EV would be 100% clean in terms of tailpipe emission, and a plug-in hybrid can be even 90% clean in terms of tailpipe emission. A non-plug-in can be at least 25-30% clean in terms of tailpipe. And depending on whether in a city electricity is available easily or not, you can go for a solution from a complete non-plug-in to a full EV.
Fully plug-in solution.
And what we are also looking at is that, see, here is our dream. We want to come to a situation where a guy driving in Mercedes would like to actually travel by a bus. Okay, so it is not just and then an electric vehicle, right? It has to be air conditioned, it has to be connected, it has to be there has to be infotainment inside. It has to be designed in different way so that you can, if you want to sit and work, you can sit and work, and if you want to be a group of people together talking.
So on all these aspects also KPIT is
all of
working?
that we are working on, all of that. It should look different, feel different, and that's what we are working on.
So you are working as an independent entity, or you are working in collaboration with someone like Tata's or Leyland's or
So
this
we work in collaboration with, we are working in collaboration with bus manufacturers, OEMs. We are also working on collaboration with bodybuilders. We want to be one of the players in the field who contributes to the technology. You know, we are essentially a technology company, and that's what we want to be. We have been working on what can be called as intelligent transport systems, where there is a bus tracker, there are boards about when is the next bus coming, and all those areas, and we have almost like 90% market share in that area in India. So this is like one of the series of things that we are doing. As a company, we are very much committed to public transport, and we believe that a good high quality public transport can make life in cities much better. And so anything that can make it happen is what we are very passionate about.
Sir, when I read all these news and all the investments which are happening in big way in KPIT, I sometimes have a very perplexing question in my mind. So basically, you are a chartered accountant by training.
Yes, yeah.
Then you started a technology company, an IT company, giving
Yeah.
services,
Yeah.
designing products. Now you are into automobile sector, getting into
Yeah.
green cars and green bus.
Yeah.
How all this reconciles, sir?
Okay. I think as a chartered accountant, you get to see a large number of businesses and you get to understand businesses. So, if you, when I did my articleship, which I did in our company, Kirtan and Pandit, in a year you would go and work with 20 companies belonging to different industries. So, for some days you might be working in a sugar mill, some days you will be working in a sugar machinery manufacturing company, sometimes you would be working with an automotive company, sometimes you will be working with an educational institution, etc. So you get a broad perspective and your understanding of business improves substantially. An accounting company is actually not an accounting company. I think it's a company which gives you exposure to all businesses, and I found that to be extremely enriching. Movement from an accounting company to an IT company is probably the most natural movement that has happened all over the world. You look at big IT companies, quite a few of the accounting companies are at the root of them. And finally, as an accountant, you are actually looking at data and converting that into information. The only thing is that typically an accountant does not have computers, but now you cannot have an accounting without
Without a
computers,
computing,
right?
yeah.
So to me, that was a very natural progression. The only surprising thing to me is that we are probably the only Indian accounting company which made that shift, and that is a matter of great surprise to me. I think many of us should have been doing that. Being a technology company in India, in Pune, I think, and Pune is such an automotive directed thing, and you will hardly find someone who is not passionate about automotive. So that movement also has been quite logical. The movement that, in my opinion, the core movement that we are now making, Abhay, is to move from IT to technology, from technology back into engineering and further back into science. In my opinion, that has been the most exciting journey. And by the use of IT, you can only solve a certain type of problems, and you can solve them, to use the common nomenclature, you can solve them in the realm of bits and bytes. But if you want to solve the problems in the range of in the area of atoms, I think you have to get into science, and which is what we are doing currently. So, for example, so going back to the hybrid thing, so so when we say you can't do a hybrid without a battery, right? Because that's where you conserve the power and the energy, etc. So when we first started working with Indian companies, battery making companies, we were told that you can have a battery last for 400 cycles or so, which meant almost 2 years, and our economics was worked on that basis. And they were the Indian batteries, typically the lead acid batteries. And we said we'll work on them. And then after we realized that when we started using those batteries went dead in 30 days. Because the Indian battery makers were actually using those batteries for UPS applications, where the regime of usage of battery is not that much, whereas in a car it's up and down, the battery can't survive. And so this was the first major learning for us. And then we said, okay, so obviously pure lead batteries can't work. We did extensive work, and then we identified lead carbon batteries. Now lead carbon batteries can take that stress. And then we really got into how do you make lead carbon batteries. And we don't make batteries, but we have to work very closely. Then the next issue came up is that if you have a battery, the key part is how do you do battery management system. And so how do you charge, how do you discharge, and how do you balance and things like that. Actually, we have global patents in that area, which is purely electronic domain. Looking at the new cost structures, then we moved into lithium. Now, you see, to substitute lithium for diesel, is not a very good idea because just as for diesel you depend on Saudi and Iraq and Iran, etc. For lithium you depend on Chile and Argentina and Afghanistan, which is actually materially not very different. So then obviously how do you substitute that lithium chemistry? And now we have been working on different chemistries where in India we should be able to make batteries out of what is available in India. So that's the movement, in my opinion, from technology into science. So we work on that. We are working on fuel cell electric vehicles. So we are working on how do you manufacture fuel cells, which is probably the cleanest and the cheapest solution. No, I should say the cleanest solution for the most long range drive. Okay, you can't have a ton of batteries in a ton of car and have 300 kilometers range, right? Whereas if you use a hydrogen fuel cell, you can easily have a 500 kilometer range because hydrogen is not very bulky, it's very light. And so that, and then the whole science relating to how do you manufacture hydrogen in a clean way. So these are the areas of technology, these are the areas of science. I am very excited about them.
So, sir,
Yeah,
with all these exciting things,
yeah.
5 years down the line, the KPIT will be an IT company or will be more of an automotive company?
So we will be a technology company,
You will be a technology
more technology company than just information technology company. And so technologies that matter, technologies that can make the world a better place. That's what we will be. So we will be in energy, we will be in automotive. See,
But you would think that the brand gets diluted because of this?
no, actually, see, even if you have to look at just the IT companies, you would notice that the technology part of IT is also changing, right? So any place where technology is used for betterment of things in a manner in which the company can make money and the society can gain is good. In my opinion, that is good. Brand is what you want to be, right?
Yeah.
This is what we want to be, and I don't think there is a dilution of brand.
Because, sir, when IT companies talk about cloud, well, moving forward, they talk about mobility, they talk about digital transformation.
Yes.
Nobody talks about making batteries.
So we are not making batteries. We are making technologies for making better batteries. So we will not be making batteries ourselves, but I'm sure we will get adequate number of companies who will make batteries the way in which we make technologies. For example, on electric bus, we are not going to be bus manufacturer. On hybrid cars, we don't want to be a car manufacturer. But there are enough technology companies who can help the main makers of physical goods. You can't be a technology company without getting your hands dirty because that's how you learn.
Yeah, very true.
But the work that you do is essentially to get your hands dirty and to bring credible technology which somebody else can then pick up and take.
Yeah.
So we will be a technology company, we will not be an automotive company. We will not be a hydrogen fuel cell company, but we will be a company for technology for hydrogen fuel cells.
So, sir, in development of all this entire technology, how many patents were generated? How many patents were
So we have more
filed?
than 60 patents, probably almost 70 patents, and they are in a whole range of areas. So there are obviously patents in the area of hybridization and electrification. There are patents in the area of battery management system, which is electronics. There are patents in the area of algorithm for energy assist and energy harvesting, which is also in the area of, but there are patents in design of motors. There are patents in design of fixtures, which are on the mechanical side. We have patents in vision systems because safety is really moving into driver assistance, stuff like that. So we have patents as to
So,
how
you are
can-
investing in driverless car?
yes,
Okay.
that's the future, right?
Right.
So the investment is how can you come out? See, I mean, the driverless car is currently uses LiDAR, right?
Right.
Now, LiDAR is a fairly expensive thing. Can you use normal camera and get the same quality of image with a LiDAR? Yes, you can. If you can use multi-core chips, if you can use proper programming of multi-core chips, you can get the same quality images at a lower cost. We work in that area. We have patents in that area. So we have patents in the area of infotainment. We have products in the area of infotainment, the software products.
Yeah.
So that is for connectivity.
Yes.
For safety, it is this. For comfort, we have patents in the area of comfort inside a car. We have patents in the area of clean. So whole range. So everything that can make the life of energy and life of automotive better is where we are focusing our energy.
So whenever there is a lot of investments on innovation, new projects, are conceived, the rate of failure is very, very high.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So how was that journey at
Yeah.
under your leadership, and whether you reached a stage where you said no, not anymore. I'm just going to pull my shutters down, do my routine IT business, and that's good for me.
No, so couple of things. When you get into R&D, I believe that the first thing you need is really passion for it. And because that drives you and your team to work that not 9 hours a day but 12 hours, 14 hours a day, not 5 days a week but sometimes 7 days a week. So that passion is important. And of course you need financial prudence, right? And that financial prudence comes through systems and processes. So we have very decent processes in my opinion. So there is work done in a pure R&D stage. There is work done as to when you have at least a POC. And the good thing about India is that a lot of these things don't cost as much. If I were to do the same thing in the US, what cost me in rupees would cost me in dollars. No, it doesn't make sense. So you need processes. At what point in time you do a POC? At what point in time do you go out and do a market study? At what point in time you do a client collaborative thing? And when you really actually start making an investment and take it forward, I think we have reasonable processes. We haven't come to a stage where we'll say throw our hands up and saying this much and no further. I don't think so. We'll come there. I have become a technologist, but I have not lost the accountant in me. So there is still that thing left. So
So there is a lot of talk about innovations nowadays, a lot of buzzword about
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, startup
Yeah.
India. But when you actually came back to India, and when you started investing in big way into the new technologies, green technologies, uh, there was no such buzz which was around that.
yeah, yeah.
So what made Ravi Pandit an innovator? What are the what actually pushed you towards that, sir?
You know what, Awais, I think doing a commerce degree, BCom, is very useful because when you are doing BCom is like disguised unemployment. Huh? So you have lots of free time and you can do a lot of things. Huh? So for example, I did my SSC in a Marathi medium school and I started reading even Reader's Digest only in the first year of college. College gave me plenty of time. We started learning economics and I had lots of time to read about everything in economics, so beyond the college, etc. It gave you a lot of time for sports and working. I was deeply engaged in NCC, I was deeply engaged in judo and cricket and stuff like that. It also gave a lot of time to do maybe social introspection. And I was very deeply involved in that. For example, in the last year of our college, which was 1970, a group of Pune University students, something like 12 or 14 of us, did what we call as SPEST, which is Socio-Political Economic Student Study Tour. And this was completely our initiative. Now, because we wanted to understand India. And so what we did was that we went from Pune to Mumbai, all state capitals, Mumbai, Kolkata, Patna, Lucknow, Delhi, Chandigarh, Jaipur, Ahmedabad and back to Mumbai. And so in all these places we met all the main political leaders. Naxalite movement was very strong, so we met a lot of Naxalites. We met industrial leaders. We met educationalists and the whole range of people. Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister at that time, and she initially said, okay, these are a bunch of enthusiastic students from Pune, I'll give them 5 minutes. And she gave us 1.5 hours. So we had extensive interview with her. We traveled the country. quite often on top of trains, on top of buses, on top of trucks, sometimes even inside the trains. And so you get an experience of the country, right? And you see country in its entirety. And it also gets you thinking, what is it that I as an educated person should do? And how can I do things differently? And in my opinion, these have been extremely useful, formative experiences. I think if I had gone to an engineering college which had kept me busy 12 hours a day doing my practicals and labs, etc., maybe this input may not have come. And of course, then beyond that, the experience at MIT was just extraordinary. And so, the thing at MIT was that you walk in the corridors of the building and you see Nobel laureates walk past, right? And you see them as human beings. And there is this urge inside you that, you can also be like that, right? It's not impossible. And MIT, of course, teaches you that every problem can be solved, okay? And it teaches you how to go about it. It teaches you to work extremely, extremely hard. And then, it makes hard work a part of your life. So these are the experiences that, I have gone, and that has helped tremendously. I believe that a lot of change can happen in your life when you are a student. And so for example, our recent working on Sparkle is a way of to delve into that.
Yeah, sir, I was going to actually
Yeah,
come to that.
yeah.
So there is nowadays a lot of talk about demographic dividend and
Yes.
India with largest number of youths. But I believe that there is no platform in India currently which
Yes.
will systematically harvest or harness the creativity of
Yes.
these youngsters.
Yes.
And I think from that perspective, your Sparkle platform is something
Yeah,
very, very
yeah,
unique.
yeah.
So, sir, would you like to elaborate on that?
So innovation is doing different things or doing things differently. You can do that only when you don't know that something cannot be done. Okay, at the moment you get to a stage where you know for sure that something cannot be done, you don't do it. So I think the best place to do innovation is really in your early days. And so Sparkle is one such, I should say, one such attempt to tap into that innovativeness of students. And so what we started 2 years ago, and in the last 2 years, it has been a phenomenal experience. So what we said is that couple of things. One is that we didn't want to give a person, we didn't want to give students a problem to solve. Okay, we wanted to paint a scenario and saying that you find out the problems, you find out the solution, but come out with a problem which can make a difference and come out with a solution which can solve that problem. And in my opinion, the most important thing about solving a problem is to find out a problem that matters. Okay, I am not a great votary of coming out with yet another app on an iPhone or on a mobile phone, which is kind of more colorful than the earlier app, because it doesn't actually change lives. So what we did in Sparkle and what we have been doing in Sparkle, we just paint a broad picture. And again, our areas of transport are mobility and energy. And the broad picture is that, in India today, the pollution is very high. The traffic is unsafe. We spend a lot of time in our vehicles. It's not very comfortable. It's not very connected. Can you change this? Okay. So it's a broad framework. And so a student has to go and say that, I'll pick up the problem of connectivity. I'll pick up the problem of comfort. I'll pick up the problem of safety or something like that, or cleanliness. Similarly on energy. So what we have done is that we paint this broad problem and we tell people, you pick up a problem and you come out with a solution. What you have to do is you have to convince us that your solution is better than the existing solutions. And it is something that has to be actually buyable by a potential customer. So we started last year, first year, I think the number of students who participated was some 1,500. This year it was 10,000.
It's huge.
It's huge, and the excitement is huge. We have used social media this time. The people voting on the best prize across the country has been huge. More than 500 colleges in probably 20 states they participated. So this time it has been like from a small science college somewhere all the way up to IITs and research institutions. We had the whole progression of people coming in.
But are you providing these students an ecosystem if their problem gets accepted or their statement gets accepted?
No. So there are two things. We give them visibility, and of course we give very, very handsome prize money.
Okay.
Okay. We give them an ability to interact with good faculty and with good jury. We are not working on the VC end of it because there are a number of people doing that. Okay. I don't think we can add substantial value in that area. I think we can add value in, we do mentorship. When people come up with ideas, we tell them, sharpen the idea, do something more. None of the ideas that we actually accept for evaluation are without POC. You have to have a proof of concept. You have to have an actual working machine before it can be considered. So people can actually do work with their hands. Today we are not doing anything on the VC part, but I think the platform is so attractive that I'm sure the people take it to some VCs and say that, you know what, we were the Sparkle runner-up, or we were in the final list or something like that. That's where we are. And as with everything else that I said, that we are engaged in, we are as excited about it as the students are. So, it has to be fun, right?
Right.
It's great fun. So,
It was really great talking to you, sir.
thank you.
Thanks
Thank you
for
very much. Thank you.
giving us time,
Thank you.
and thanks
Thank you
for
very
talking
much.
to us.
My pleasure.